Orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Kim Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. How to transmute sexual energy as a couple. One of the things I'm most fascinated by and passionate about in my work is the idea of transmuting sexual energy. This is the concept that we can take this oh so powerful life force, procreative energy, and consciously use it in our lives. On the podcast, I am always sharing stories about how people have done this. You can channel this energy into anyone and anything, including yourself and any part of your body, your partner's body, and your lives. We have seen people self-heal everything from fibroids, cysts, endometriosis, penile issues, to difficult periods and menopause, to massive weight loss, orgasms over Ozempic, yo. You can check out our episodes, Fucking is Better Than Therapy, and Well Fucked Weight Loss. We have seen people revitalize their careers, magnetize massive business opportunities, and boost their income exponentially. Check out our legendary episode, The Multi-Million-Dollar Blowjob. We have also watched people alchemize their trauma, even deep sexual abuse, through this work. For more on that, check out the episode, Healing Sexual Trauma with the Jade Yoni Egg. That is how powerful it is. The issue is that most people have a very unconscious approach to sex. They use it as a tool to turn off rather than turn on, to go to sleep, literally and figuratively, rather than as a means to awakening. Not in Anami land.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch, go!
We want you to get high, to awaken and elevate your consciousness, and to change your life. And you can do every one of those things through the power of fuck. Not just any fuck, though. The holy fuck, the conscious fuck, the fuck that changes you from the inside out. That fuck. I often say if sex isn't changing your life, then you're doing it wrong. Because when you harvest this energy and direct it into your world, you extend this idea of la petite mort, the little death and rebirth, into your whole existence, where you can transform and recreate all of it. That is the true purpose of your sexual energy. In today's episode, we are speaking with well-fucked all-star couple Colleen and Jessie. Through my work, they have learned to consciously direct their sexual energy and use it for everything from physical healing in their bodies, deep throating for the win, and channeling this energy into their careers to advance them and make more cash, among many, many, many other effects they've seen in their lives. Well fucked all-stars. Okay, welcome Colleen and Jessie, signing in from New Zealand.
Hello. Thank you.
So you guys had a year of Anami.
Yeah, we did. It was fantastic.
Highly recommend it.
Tell me how you came into it and what was your motivation to then commit to the year? Did you know you were going to do a year straight off the bat, or did it evolve like that? Was one person needing to be cajoled more into the work than the other? What was your journey stepping into Anami land?
So we've been married for almost 7 years, or over 7 years. And I feel like I came to the marriage with a lot of history of sexual baggage, a lot of history of emotional baggage. And I feel Jessie has been working on finding lots of different ways to help me work on that throughout the entirety of the marriage. We had 3 kids. So when we started, our youngest was one. We had one, three, and just turned five. Um,
When you
and
started
I
the year of
when
Anami.
I started the year when we started the
Okay.
year of Anami, and I had lots and lots of pain during all the pregnancies. Um, and Jessie had, especially with our last pregnancy, used sex a lot as a pain control, as a relaxation, with me kicking and screaming and thinking that it was wrong. And so he kept sending me different tidbits from different people and different toys and different things to think about and different challenges. And I would say, yeah, I'll do this for you. I'm not going to do this for myself. I'll do this for you. And then one day he sent me just casually the podcast Breast Massage for Heart Opening. And I'm by trade, I was really into healing. I was a physio, specialized in pain. And I went, okay, let's listen to this. What's happening there? And I went, wow, this lady really knows her stuff. This is really interesting. And I think I might, think I might like want to do one of her salons. And his comment was, well, let's do them all. So my idea was, okay, we need to do coming together first because Jessie, you have a lot to work on. And his comment was, nope, no. I think you really need to do BKF first. Um, And so that was in August before BKF. So the next one to sign up for was BKF. And I started listening to your podcast and I started sending them to all sorts of people. And one of the people I sent them to said, oh, I love this Jade Egg practice. And I went, no. I'm not. Kegel's fine. I'm not into the Jade Egg practice. But then
Why?
she
What
was
was your
really,
barrier against it?
um, I didn't see the reason why a Jade Egg would be better than a Kegel. So coming from a physio basis, kind of went, okay, yep, we need feedback, we need resistance. Um, but why would a crystal egg be better? So that whole side. Uh, and I had some
Which is
kegels.
bizarre, though, right? Because using without any weight gives no feedback and resistance. And I think it's this weird, like people think that the idea of jade eggs is just to carry them around in your vagina all day rather than like I did a full interview with a woman who does pelvic floor work and she had that misunderstanding that the jade egg was just throwing it up your vagina and vacuuming the house, which is what a lot of people actually say to do with it, right? Ignorantly so, rather than it being a deliberate practice like this many sets and reps and actually using it as exercise, which is what it was always intended to be. But you know how these things get distorted. Like, what do they call it? Is it Chinese whispers? That old game of starting with the truth and ending up with something completely fabricated. So you were a bit resistant to the egg, and then what happened?
Then this person got the egg, and I went, okay, well, I'll do it. Let's do it. So I got the jade egg selenite first, a couple months before BKF, and started realizing that it was a lot more than just the jade egg and just doing the sets and reps. That there was a lot more to that. So then we signed up for BKF when it opened at the beginning of last year.
Excellent. So, Jessie, it sounds like you already had some kind of concept as sex as medicine, the healing power of sex, because that's what the approach that we're using with Colleen to help her see, well, actually, no, maybe not.
Well, kind of, I suppose. But I guess I'm looking at it now from my perspective of where I am now, and I'm looking back at where I was and going, well, no, I didn't have that perspective. But I guess at the time, I probably thought that I had a perspective that, sex is healing more so. I mean, we're both quite religious, so I look at it as sex is a gift from God given for us, and so there, it's actually a good thing. It's not this taboo, oh, sex is bad or it's only for procreation. Like that's my view on it, and so that's, I guess, what has dictated my perspective of it from the moment that we got married. Like I grew up in a household where sex was talked about. My parents were both very, uh, I guess, open and raw with like their relationship. They didn't try and hide it from us. So I had a very real perspective on marriage, that is completely different from what Colleen had growing up. So that when we got married, that I'm trying to go, I'm looking at it from the perspective of, well, I know it can be better. So therefore, let's try work on these things that are blocks or hindrances to our marriage being better, more open, more honest, being us closer together emotionally, physically, spiritually. Like, let's work on these things. So, like, 7 years of just poking and prodding and trying to find an opening, and this, yeah, it's lots and lots and lots of small things just building up over time, that conversations that you have that open up for things like being able to send a salon a podcast on breast massage is kind of the catalyst that then springs it forward
Right.
from that.
That opening was your upbringing in a religious household?
It's
So within that, it's because it's interesting. A lot of people would assume that, well, and people have this experience where there's the opposite, right? Where there is within religious teaching so much taboo and restriction and shame. And yet there is, and I found this in some sects, I guess, where people do actually believe that within a committed partnership, it's one of the most beautiful things you can experience. And it is God endorsed, right? To be having these experiences.
totally, yeah, and it's quite interesting because, like, people that we know that have, like, know that we've done this kind of stuff, like one partner would be more on board with it than the other, and there'd be more resistance from like that religious perspective. So like it's even within the friendship groups that we've got, it's still the same sort of thing. It's like, oh, the upbringing of like sex is bad. And I think a lot of it stems from like this idea that sex is within a marriage. So there's this perspective shift that then has to happen, because if we were both virgins when we got married, so it's like you go from sex is bad, well, it's not bad, it's just like not in an okay environment, to now sex is okay. Like, it's a massive perspective shift that you've got to do from not being married to then being married, which I feel like going back 7 years, I was able to do a lot easier than Colleen was able to do. So then it's like a lot of that conditioning of just changing their perspective of like where sex is bad to where sex is okay, if you want to use bad and okay as your
Sure.
adjectives.
Let's talk about some of the more profound shifts and realizations you had through doing this work. And, one of the major things I talk about in my work is the idea of using sex consciously versus unconsciously. And most people are having very unconscious sex. They're using sex as a way to discharge stress, energy, tension, help to put them to sleep, or even just doing it as going through the motions because this is something married couples are supposed to do. We have to obligatorily have sex because, that's what we do. So, and my work is all about going so far beyond that into consciously using our sexual energy as a spiritual tool, as a way to uplift, to heal, to connect deeply, and even to help open us up to higher states of consciousness and connection with ourselves, with our partner, with God, with the world at large. So tell me more about experiences you've had in really using sex consciously. And I even mean within the sex act, like within actually having intercourse, where you're being very deliberate about the movement and flow of your sexual energy.
So I think one of the biggest things that needed to come to the surface, to be cleared, was this idea, this block that I had, that sex is for men's pleasure, that sex is for him, sex is for it is something a woman does out of duty. Women, that sort of lie that women are less sexual
Right.
than men. And there are definitely Jessie has been amazingly loving and serving and being conscious and deliberate about my pleasure and seeking my pleasure. And once we had the practices of reflection that you include in the salons, where you say, okay, what are the things that need to come up? What are the blocks that need to come up to be cleared? Then we could take that together. So, for instance, like with BKF, I ended up doing a very deep dive into all the practices. And by the end, I'd always had like ideas that, yes, you should follow the sex that your husband wants to do, but it's not for you, it's for him. And I'd also had this really, really tight pain in my jaw. And I remember at one point in VKF, there was this one practice, and it was like, what is happening here? What is this tight pain in my jaw that's keeping me from being able to deep throat? That is coming up so tightly when we make love. And during VKF, I remember that I actually had energy flow, and I'd had some energy in my vagina, and it actually would flow up and stop at my neck.
Whoa.
So I would get this energy, it would flow, it would tingle, it would feel amazing, and then it would just stop. There was this blockage. And so we talked about it. We brought it up. We said, we're working together. We're not fighting each other. We're working together to heal, to become one. And during CT, there was this major, major breakthrough where we were having a 3-hour sex date. And I kind of went, can we try moving energy? I think it was me who said, like, I'm feeling this.
Probably.
I'm feeling this in my neck.
Yeah.
Could you please use some visualization while we're having sex to imagine this pain, this blockage moving? And so he went on ahead. He said, this is what we're going to do. He provided a safe container. He said, you're going to imagine all of the blockages, anything that's keeping you stuck coming into my cock and disappearing. And we started to do that while we were making love, breathing. And then there was this point where I'm like, my neck feels so tight. And so he took his hands and put them right near my neck, right around my neck, and said, I want you to imagine the shackles breaking. And we kept going and kept breathing, and it was intense and it was hard and it was beautiful. And then suddenly there was this burst and energy just flowed, and I laughed, I cried. I had this vision, this imagination, like a post-apocalyptic world where there was this red sky and moons, and then there was these Greco-Roman ruins. It was like the world had been destroyed, and there was this beautiful garden, just this tender garden just beginning to grow. And I don't think I've ever felt that unadulteratedly joyful in my life, if not very often beforehand, or a lot more since. But it was as though the power of us together, the power of our connection, the power of that sexual energy just made this amazing boom, this amazing breakthrough in a way that I had never experienced before.
And I guess from my perspective, if I can just provide a little bit more insight into particularly what I was doing there, is it wasn't that I was just getting providing the space for the visualization was me just taking energy in through my cock. It was actually me then recirculating the energy back out. So it was trying to provide this feedback loop of like this dark energy coming in to me and then coming back out as light energy. So that it was creating this loop, feedback
You were
loop.
alchemizing it in real time. Yeah.
And that is providing that space forward. Okay, this is what we're doing. Visualize it coming in, visualize it going back out, going through your body, through your arms, finding all the dark energy that would contract within you and pulling it back down and like slowly, like this dark energy, I want you to visualize disappearing as it's getting replaced by light. So,
I love that. That is so beautiful. So I'm wondering, we talk a lot about the correlation, the symbolism within the body, right? And when people have a tight throat or stuckness in the throat, there's often a parallel in their outer lives to feeling, you guys are laughing, unable to express your truth fully, feeling blocked about speaking your mind. Did you see, is that the true, is that hold for you? And did you see a
yeah,
change after this breakthrough in bed?
100%. 100%. I remember when I was a kid, I would have lines on the inside of my mouth where I was biting my lips so hard to keep from speaking, and I thought that was normal. And then as I kept going, as I became an adult, the idea was that you need to be perfect. You can't show these emotions. Like perfection is that masculine push, that masculine drive, that masculine, you hold the container, you hold everything together. Um, and now it's been amazing with the change in the willing to be open and vulnerable and honest about my struggles, about my imperfections, about even about this. I was at a weekend recently, and I was talking to somebody about. They asked, "How are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing great." And they said, "Why?" I was like, "I just finished this year of a NAMI, and I'm feeling amazing. I'm closer to my husband. Sex is amazing." And this other girl walked by and she's like, "What are you talking about?" And we're like, "Well, we're talking about sex and in the context of relationship." And they're like, "Oh, that's your favorite topic." And it's amazing because when I show up in as who I am, then I get the response of people loving me for who I am, instead of when I tried to show up as who I wanted people, who I thought people wanted me to be, then people didn't love me because I wasn't showing up as myself. And I feel like especially in the couple salon, you talk a lot about radical honesty and radical self-responsibility. And there's a lot of tools that you give us that help us to be radically honest and radically self-responsible with each other. And that hugely spills out. Um, and I still notice now that the open throat and the open jaw is something that is a continual work in progress. And I notice that when I'm out of the habit of speaking my truth, or when we don't spend as much time on my throat, I notice things are tighter. And when things have been cleared, when I am saying the hard things, not in a mean way, but when I am being lovingly honest, it's open. I thought it was all Jesse's fault, and he wasn't paying attention to me. And I I had this intuition and I had this pain in my jaw during this visualization. And I went, this is my body image issues. This is the way I'm thinking about myself that is keeping me from showing up in the world having me project these things onto other people. And it's tools like that which let you go, okay, this is me. This is something I didn't know better, and now I do, and now I have tools to work on it.
Beautiful. I love that you're able to make these, you have the self-awareness to see these expressions in your body and interpret them, listen to them, which is a huge theme in my work, right? Is this idea of listening to the body, honoring it, and trying to work with that information as a map, as a signal from the body. Here's something to look at. Here's something for us to work on. We're going to bring this up to the surface so that you can alchemize it and illuminate it and heal it, which is so the opposite of the dominant quote, medical paradigm, which is that's irrelevant. We're just going to override everything and throw some drugs at it and off you go, right? Which completely different universe. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about in terms of the alchemy and using sex as healing?
I would say the other thing is through this work. So I'd had um well, I'd had neck pain and back pain as long as I could remember, at least from when I was 10. And then that had become debilitating during my pregnancies. And through this work, through the strengthening, through the communication, through all the practices, that it's wonderful to realize that 99% of the time now, I feel good. Like anytime this pain comes up, the whole paradigm of how I look at my body has completely shifted, because it used to be that I thought my body was a machine that I needed to fix. That if even if a symptom came up, that it's like, okay, this symptom is happening. How can I fix this? And in your work, you give us these tools to say, how can I listen and partner with my body with myself, with God, with my partner, so that we can listen, bring it up, and not just try to fix it, but dig deep to get to the root of it. And I've really seen a difference that I go throughout my day and I can run with my kids. I can roughhouse. I can lift them up and carry them around. We don't have to worry about one of the themes during the first years of our marriage was we oftentimes had to stop during sex because this hurt or that hurt or I needed to move this. And it's beautiful to see the freedom that has come from consistently showing up and doing this work.
Love that. So, what other changes happened in your relationship over this year?
I think polarity has been a big one. Um, wait, when so I was single for quite a long while when I met Jesse, and he is quite a bit younger than me, like 12 years younger. And when I met him, I went, "Oh, he's a cute kid." But showed up. He showed up with this masculine, dominant, beautiful, intoxicating energy. And so, like, if he was like a 9 in masculinity, I was like 8. So I finally found a man who was enough masculine for me to get a taste. But in the context of our marriage, there was um, this push
Mm.
that he would always be the most masculine, but I would be like trying to be as masculine as he was. And through the context of this work and a lot of the themes you talk about, I have learned, I'm learning what surrender and letting go and not trying to backlead feels like. And so I've really noticed a difference that instead of giving him lip service to leadership and then trying to take things back because I know better or because I think I do, that I found this beautiful freedom and this beautiful flow. And I don't need to think about it. He's got it. He's got me. I can completely trust him. He is taking care of us, of our family, of the direction that we're going, and I'm here to relax, to be supportive, to connect, uh, and to just be instead of try to do all the time.
Yeah, like I would say that the environment in which we now, like our family environment, the energy at home is a lot calmer. Um, I mean, I don't feel like we significantly argued before, but like whatever we were arguing about before has kind of decreased because it's radical honesty. So if something comes up, it gets talked about even sooner than it did before, and it's just like, look, this has annoyed me, or can we talk about this? And it's like, yep, cool, good, move on. Like if I need to do something that I haven't been doing, and like it's been annoying Colleen, then we talk about it, or like vice versa. Like we just, yeah, it's the home environment is very nice, shall we say, like just calm, it's relaxing, it's yeah, it's a pleasant place to be as opposed to being a like stressful environment or like, oh, I've got to deal with all these issues or whatever. So I feel like that's one of the big things that I've noticed is just everything that we've been doing in the bedroom, like and how that plays out in our home life. And then obviously further out into the world as well. But the home life is particularly what affects the kids and us. So
Do you think
I
there
think
was more friction as well when she was fighting you a bit in her masculine? So if you're both competing to be the dominant masculine energy in the home, do you think that created more tension?
yes, it definitely would have. There's no, you can't deny that because if you think now, like at nine masculine to like probably what like a three in the feminine, like it's completely different. Like it's just the polarity is significantly shifted in terms of like where Colleen like focuses, I guess, if you want to use kind of that term. So yeah, like being being a nine and an eight in the masculine definitely yeah, provided a lot of friction. Probably more so for you than for me, just because of my personality and who I am. That type of thing was kind of just like, well, I can overcome this. So
Mhm.
it was like it was kind of just like it is what it is. I can overcome this. It doesn't matter, therefore, from my perspective. Whereas now that mentality is no longer there because it doesn't need to be. There's nothing to overcome. It's like, our energies are actually working together. They're meshed together to support each other and like nourish each other. Like the feminine energy is like nourishing energy. Like I can be nourished by just being around her. I'm not having to find that nourishment by another source.
I think for me, the big difference in the home environment is I'm not exhausted. Trying to live in my masculine and masculinely parent three small children is exhausting. Whereas now it's almost like the practice of doing these practices has also given me permission to show myself to my kids that, well, it used to be that I went, okay, I need to be around all my kids all the time. I need to be managing their behavior. If I take a rest to go away from my kids, that it's weak. And I go, wait, no, like I need to nourish myself so that I can be from a point of flow to deal with my kids. And so we've set up like the kids are now used to, okay, mommy's angry. I'm just gonna go take a moment. And I'm modeling that for my kids now, instead of saying, oh, I'm angry, and blowing up at them, but I'm modeling to them, okay, this is my emotion. I now have the tools. I'm gonna go take care of that. I'll be out in a minute. Or mommy and daddy are going to have some time. Like yesterday, we were connecting in the bedroom for 45 minutes,
Probably.
something like that. And the kids were just playing happily because they know that that's what we need, and they don't know it on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, they can sense the difference.
Yeah.
And occasionally one comes in and knocks, and this person did this and this person did this, and you just, instead of becoming angry that it's not perfect, you just go, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Shuffle along.
you shuffle along and you
Shut
flow
the
with
door
it.
behind you.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's
If you can sort it out yourself, it's fun.
So let's talk. I love hearing that. Let's talk a bit about the idea of even having children. So you have three children under five, and so many people use the idea of having young children as an excuse for why they can't be intimate. Oh, we haven't had sex in, 5 years. Well, of course, we have children. And it's the most socially sanctioned excuse. Nobody will fault you for being new parents or even parents at all and not having sex. And I'm always forever poking holes in that argument and saying that actually your power source is sex. The more sex you have, the easier your parenting life will be. And the way you just described this flow that your children even sense, even if they don't fully understand consciously what's happening, that when their parents are connected on this much more deep, intimate level, that harmony and beauty and flow emerges and permeates through every dimension of the family, that you really are the nucleus and the center of the family. Your connection, the energy between you is the ultimate flow out into the family. And when that is operating at a high level, everything shifts. So were you one of those people who had that excuse, or how was that journey for you as a mom?
I probably would have if Jesse wasn't so strong. Because he was the one who was constantly saying, okay, I'm going to push. And I went, okay, then my job is, before Adami, my job is to, I'm going to do this for him. I'm going to do this for him. And so we were, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times a week before.
Yeah,
Something around there.
something like that.
Where, but the funny thing was
And
that
where are you
that Jesse,
now? I mean, if you were, so you
well,
were having, yeah.
I'll get back to that in just a second. So Jesse wasn't the type of pump, dump, and schlump ever. That wasn't how he came to our marriage. And before this work, I used to be offended because I took that. I said, "Oh, well, I know that 90+% of men ejaculate within 3 minutes, so there must be something wrong with me, and I must be really, really ugly, or really, really broken, or really, really not attractive because this wonderful man is not ejaculating." Which is now that I know this beautiful idea of conscious energy, of moving energy, that of ejaculation as being a source of dumping energy. I go, oh, he was doing it for me the entire time, and for him, and for us, and for the relationship. Now we are at least daily most days, so like six
Yeah.
to seven times a week, at least once a day, um, which is wonderful.
At least once a
Hmm.
day. I love that.
At least one. Yeah. And the day normally starts off with some sort of blowjob, to be honest. That's normally how the day starts. That's the wake up, and then we get on with the day, and then whatever else happens over the course of the day when I get home before we go to sleep.
So we've already
Fantastic.
connected,
Yeah.
we've already started off the day well. We're together, we're a team. We've built some energy, and we're ready for the day.
Right. So you're using that as a fuel source, literally plugging into each other, right? And getting that charge and then going out into your day with it. And this is such a huge thing that so many people don't understand, that I'm forever trying to explain, right? Is that is where you get your energy from. So when you're feeling tired and low energy and you have a big day, it's especially important to go and plug in with each other. So, what did you notice then in your life once you began doing this, with having, knowing that this is your energy source? Did you notice any difference in your children's energy?
It's really interesting to me that I kind of notice, as I'm in this process of healing, that I've noticed that my children have gotten progressively more energetically attuned, if that makes sense. So my youngest is she notices the energy in the room, and she is attracted to people that have good energy. And but even all of my children, since I've been doing this work, they have a lot less frantic energy, a lot less bickering energy. We'd always had pretty well behaved children, but now they come up with these beautiful, loving, wonderful things. Like my 4-year-old son, 4.5-year-old son, comes up to me the other day and he says, "Mommy, thank you so much for everything you do."
Oh, wow.
Thank you for all the work that you're doing. Like, what 4-year-old has that knowledge and that awareness of people around him to say, I see the space, and because we're creating space for them, because we have this home environment, and they have this beautiful space to create space for other people and space for themselves, and this ability to share love. And they're kids, so they're obviously still frustrated, but they're so much less easily frustrated. There's this ability that I've noticed in all three of them. So now they're 2, 4, and 6, to see other people's perspectives and to let other people be themselves and to work around that. So I've seen that massive shift in their energy, which is makes it just so much more delightful. And we have so much fun now. So I homeschool as well. And so I'm around my kids all day, every day. And it's fun and it's encouraging and it's beautiful. And I get energy from them and they teach me. And I look at their behaviors and instead of trying to fix their behaviors, we have space to nourish them as well.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the tools that we've taken over the last year, the tools that we've talked about throughout all the salons, we've kind of taken them and obviously implemented them in our own lives, but are starting to give those tools to our children in a way that they can understand, um, so that they've got the ability to deal with their emotions when they come up and deal with each other and like talk about stuff and like, okay, you're angry. Why are you angry? Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, let's talk about the fact that you don't know why you're angry and this is an outburst of emotion because there's clearly something going on that needs to be worked at. And so, like, we work with our kids to help them have that self-awareness to self-regulate and self-monitor. And that's been a noticeable difference over the last year, just being able to implement all of those tools and provide that example to our children through what we're doing, because ultimately they look to us and they say that's how we live our lives through what we're doing. So then we're then providing for them the same tools that at a level they can understand for them to regulate their own lives, which has been really, really cool to see.
I love that. So you mentioned, Colleen, that you had a shift in terms of how you viewed yourselves, feeling beautiful and feminine and sensual. Tell me about that.
I think, let me think. Let's not start again. So I feel now that I'm actually willing to feel. And like there is I remember the first time in VKF that you asked to see yoni gaze, and I had such a feeling of disgust about my own yoni. I went, this is ugly, this is disgusting, I don't want to see this. So that's where I started, is that I would nitpick myself apart uh, and wouldn't see the beauty of, like, I would focus on the negatives. I would focus on the things I wanted to change, the things I wanted to fix. And for instance, the other day, I looked at myself in the mirror and I went, wow, I like the way you look. You look good. And there's this joy, this beauty. Like I remember growing up and I never liked the way I looked in pictures. I always saw the sadness behind my eyes, which also my mom and grandma never looked like the way they looked in pictures. And so there's this multi-generational like self-criticism. So it's almost like we could shame ourselves into being better. And now I love I like I just love myself, right? Like I look and I go, yeah, there's things to change, but look at you. Like, look what you can do. Look at how you're looking. Wow. I love breast massage. Like, breast massage is like, oh, wow, you are so luscious today. Which I noticed huge differences. There was specifically one practice that did it. And after I did it, I went, wow, my breasts are really, really full. And I didn't mention anything to Jesse. And that night he went, wow, your breasts are really, really full. Or something to that
As if I
extent.
wouldn't notice.
And well, it was sort of a testing, like, am I just deluding
Right.
myself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but now I can look at myself and I take, when I take pictures, it's like, wow, look at the joy, look at the fun we're having. It's not, oh, look at that weight you might need to lose, or oh, like look at your thighs, or oh, look at your eyes, or, look at how old you are, any of those sorts of things. It's just I'm able to see myself and inhabit myself and be present with myself and get rid of all that junk and have room to actually show up.
So, seeing through any conditioning, things that you might have absorbed or taken on along the way, and leaving the pure self and love for self beneath it. Jessie, what would you say that some of the transformations have been in you as a man individually?
I would say that I am even more sure of myself than I was before. Like the direction that I'm heading in life, I guess more purpose um, to my life than I would have had before, just because of like the environment that we've created. It's like conducive to that, uh, providing a space for like the masculine energy to drive and to excel and push forward. Um, like we've increased the income that's coming in, which I know is something that you kind of talk about and throughout the salons, is like this idea of like alchemizing energy. So like this has been quite a substantial increase in income through the work streams that we've been doing. Like I don't run my own business, but I'm in partnership with somebody else. So like that's increased. Like what other changes have I noticed?
I feel like people frustrate you less.
Yeah, that's probably fair actually. Yeah, I have a very low tolerance for incompetency um, from people. But that has, I feel like throughout this work, I've become more calm in that. So like more forgiving, more willing to like allow stuff to slide to a certain extent. Um, and I also find that the other big thing is I hold significantly less anger, frustration, and stress. Like the environment that I work in and my role could be quite a stressful, high intense um, position, but I don't feel like that affects me as much as it was affecting me, has affected me in the past now. Like just be like, I mean, you made a comment yesterday because you were giving me like a scalp rub, and you're like, you're not holding any tension in your face or your jaw, even though like the environment in which I work could be quite conducive to holding a lot of stress and tension, but it just, yeah, it's I guess just what everything that we're doing on a daily basis is just meaning that all these things are melting away to the point that you almost don't remember what it was like before. Like this is now the new normal. This is not some new thing. This is like, okay, what were we like before? Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. We were doing these things, but it's like, no, no, our normal is this, and it's just amazing and it's beautiful and it's such a joy and a pleasure to be in that it's like, why? Why would I want anything that we had before? Like it's just no, yeah. And I feel like Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there eventually because I'll keep talking and then all these things will start coming out. Probably more willing to, more able to keep pushing the boundaries now, like in our relationship, than I was before
Pushing the
because
boundaries in
like
what way?
in the sense of like the BDSM stuff, in a sense, like that more dominant submissive role. I mean, we had a session a few weeks ago where I was really trying to like nothing's a finished thing, right? Like this is one of the things that you're very clear on throughout all the salons is like everything's a journey.
There's
There's,
always
there's
another.
always another level to go on. So like from my perspective, I'm always looking for that next level. Like I've got this drive to be like, okay, like like if it's this great now, like imagine what it can be in a year's time. Like let's not just take our foot off the gas because oh well, we've done a year of an army, like we're so much better
Right.
than we were a year ago. Yeah, sweet. No, I'm like, no, 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 no. Let's keep pushing. So like we a few weeks ago, it was like I'd got like do you want
Yeah,
specifics?
absolutely. The more specific, the
Okay,
better
great.
to tell it, to really
Great. So
illustrate.
like I'd got a collar and a lead, I'd got a ball gag, I'd got an anal hook for Colleen, and basically like she'd I'd shared those with her and she'd kind of like freaked out a little bit, particularly about the ball gag. So it was like, oh, right, that's clearly something that needs to be worked on here. Great. I love it when we find things that we can work on together because this means it's going to be fun.
Right.
So like we'd I'd put the collar and lead on her, then I'd put the anal hook in and I'd
Did you say anal hook?
yeah, anal hook. So it's kind of like a butt plug, but it has like a hook, so you can like, and then with like a loop at the end, so that you can feed, like you could like do shibari with it. Basically, it's just to provide like another pleasure
You
stimulation
could do
point.
what with it?
Um, like so you could tie rope through it and like provide. I guess it's just another point of pulling pressure.
Different amounts of input.
No, different amounts of input.
Okay, great. Carry on.
Anyway, so but like so would and then what I did is I used my phone's camera to get her to look at herself to break down those barriers of like like ball gag and collar on like as we're having like doggy style sex. It's just like it was like quite like
It
it
was
was very very
confronting.
confronting for her and like it was really good to be in that space to like break down more barriers and like draw closer to each other.
And the interesting thing is that it was done, the interesting thing to me from my past self is that it was done with so much love. Is that the idea it's not it's not domination for domination's sake. It's okay, you've got this issue in your jaw. Let's see what we can do to play with that.
Mhm.
To be ridiculous, like, well, not be ridiculous, to say, okay, what would happen if you can't actually clench your jaw? And it was interesting because there was so much more openness
Yeah, everywhere.
everywhere, which is not what I would expect. And the me of 3 years ago would have been horrified. The me of right now is still, oh, this is really, really open and vulnerable. Great, let's mess with this and see. Because I've told there's at least 20 or 30 people I've told about your podcast, and I can't control which of them will be listening. So now we're going to have some great conversations, right? Like, and it's just this opportunity to go, okay, how can we continue to lean into that polarity? How can we continue to break down these barriers in whatever way possible in this beautiful, safe environment? Because the me before NAMI work would have gone, no, hard, no, there
Yeah.
is no way you are doing this to me. But what happened at that point, like that specific session was, I went, huh, I'm noticing this agitation in my body, specifically about the ball gag. Can we work with this? So it wasn't him so it's saying, I'm going to do this to you. It was saying, okay,
We're gonna do this together.
we are doing this together. And we're lovingly talking about it before, we're lovingly talking about it after. And there's this ability that, and I mean, we lovingly talked about it during as well, right? That there's the ability to chat and to have these deep conversations about these things, and there's nothing between us that's keeping us from connecting with each other.
So it's another example of using your conscious intention to transmute, to alchemize, and to go into the experience and even orchestrate it, knowing that there's an issue with the throat. Okay, let's play with that and activate it and see what we can come up with. And it's beautiful. Like what you're describing is a collaboration, a conscious collaboration to use your sex life as a tool for illumination, healing, elevation. Even though it might seem like there's these darker areas you're exploring, like whatever ideas people might have superficially about BDSM, but it's actually an incredibly profound tool to use to explore dynamics of power and submission, of surrender and control, and for both people to get deeper into those energies. It's an extremely potent tool and I'd say very spiritual, even in the way, like, surrender. What is there more divine than the idea of surrender and the experience of deep, deep surrender within? Right? And even for the man to experience the surrender of fully embracing your masculine energy, of not having to restrict and hold back and be worried about being too toxic or too alpha or whatever restrictions are being suggested for men these days, but to have a place to be fully unfettered and express that and really feel into it is beautiful. It's one of the most sacred practices a couple can do when it's done consciously and with so much trust and openness.
Definitely. Yeah, it's great to have that space to just kind of let go let go as a man and in that masculine energy, with while knowing that it's not dangerous, if that makes sense. Like it's not gonna then blow up. It's like, no, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for an even more exaggerated polarity. Like we wanna really push up against something, because then when we pull back from it, then there's this space to like talk about it and to then allow more healing to happen. Like Colleen talked earlier about, that us alchemizing and like the shackles like breaking away from her throat and there's energy flowing. It was like, yeah, that was months ago, but we're still working on it now. We're just working on it in different ways because there's more and more conditioning layers that are coming up to the surface that get broken away. So like, yeah, we still do visualization practices as well, but it's just another way of working on stuff
Mm-hmm.
as a couple, working together as a team to become better versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
As a result, like even like let's say I went to a women's retreat the other weekend, and there was a few other people there. One other person who's done one of your salons, and another person who's gone really deep into energy practices. And it was fascinating because the energy, like the palpable energy that I felt when I was just talking to these women, was electric. And a funny story, I was talking with one of them, and I was like, she had lost something, and I went, you know, I remember being listening to this podcast about the Amanda who like was able to find things. So I went, okay, let's ask my body. I've never seen this
Let's
thing.
clarify.
Like I have no
Find
idea what.
things with her vagina. So she would
Her vagina.
specifically ask her vagina, where is this thing that we've lost? Or, can you find me a parking space in this crowded parking lot? She would consult her
Yeah.
vagina directly.
So I tune into myself, ask my body, ask my vagina, ask, like, where is this? And I went, no, it's not there, not there. Like, huh. I feel like it's in that blue bag or that pink bag, but my mind went, no, my body says it's in the blue bag. And it was in that blue bag. And I went, tick. New level unlocked, right?
Yeah.
You just go, okay, well, this is normal now.
The new normal. I love it. So,
Feeling energy, things with your pussy, right?
yes, absolutely. So you mentioned anal play. Is there anything you'd like to share about your experiences with anal play? Was that an easy idea for you? Had you done it before? What did you notice happen?
Anal play has been a huge journey. Um, when we got married, Jessie got me a book on anal play, and I had said, no, absolutely not. I don't ever want to hear you talk about it again. And I'd throw the book in the bin, in the rubbish bin. This is
It
not.
wasn't, just to clarify, there wasn't just a book on anal. There was actually like about half a dozen books that I'd got on like sex, like and stuff.
Tantra, oral sex.
Yeah, like all this other stuff. And anal sex, there was just happened to be a book that I got on anal sex, and that was the book that I got thrown away. The other books were kind of like, oh, that's fine, but they'd been pushed away as well.
But the anal one really
not
got
thrown away.
tossed across the room like, no fucking way.
Yeah, no, this is not happening. Like, your anus is dirty, it's wrong. Like, no, this is not happening. Coming from like, and I had justified it in my mind, like the medically, like this is waste products, like no. And then through doing this work, I had this realization that it wasn't like, I mean, I justified it in my mind with kids saying, oh yeah, like, well, I'm changing like nappies all the time. Like I'm changing diapers, like that we are, like, this is disgusting. Like, no. And then I had this realization through the course of these practices that there was this deep shame. Like, this is, I'm just trying to like, to be crass, I'm trying to hold all my shit together. Right. And there's this like this symbolic, all this junk stored, and this shame and guilt and this feeling that I was wrong, that was stored in my anus. And so we started playing with it. Right. I started playing with butt plugs, started playing with, okay, doing some like anal reconnaissance and not just vaginal reconnaissance, and said, okay, so it's like, okay, I'm going to set a timer. And it was always this the sort of thing is that there's so many practices, and I made a habit of, well, I spent a lot of time on the practices, probably a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours a day, like early in the morning when the kids were sleeping, like we're going to like dive into this. I was always like, these are the practices that are comfortable. These are the practices that are okay. And then pick one practice that is really, really uncomfortable, and then focus on that for a while and just see what shifts. So the anal reconnaissance was something that is very, very uncomfortable. And lots of emotions came up, and I was crying and I was hating it. And then you just work through it, and it comes up and you breathe through it and you talk about it, and then it comes up again. So it was something that Jessie always had an interest in, and I would occasionally say, yep, we can do some anal play maybe once a year.
But the funny thing is like if like you consider the emotions and everything that's like stored in your butt and like everything else that we've already talked about, it's like, well, of course, that's not going to be a good experience. Like if you're only like venturing into like once a year, like
Right.
there's so much packing that you've got to do.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be a good experience because you're not working on all these other things that are actually like need to be worked on as well.
Yeah.
And it's this thing as well, like because it was such a block for me, it meant that like it's such a pleasure point for Jessie, and it is a pleasure point for me, but I still have continuing mind blocks around it. Where I just have to like, I'm like, okay, my vagina is very wet. My body is very attracted. Let's lean into this and see where we can get me out of my brain and into my body. But because we've done all this work on it, where I realize like there's all these things to release, it means that I can give him pleasure, like anal pleasure, because it's something that he's really interested in, something he's really keen with. And it means that we can find a lot more opening and a lot more pleasure with my bum as well.
So you're both
now
you're both receiving anal play.
yeah. So now it's not a yearly thing. It's something that we continuously work on a regular basis.
And so by doing that, like opening up that area of darkness and the shadow, and what have you noticed happen? Well, what's happening physically? Are you having pleasure, anal orgasms, both of you? And then what's happening energetically, metaphorically for you?
Yes. Um, both both getting pleasure from it, definitely. Definitely had anal orgasms. I feel like it's always one of those things where you're like, yeah, I know that there is stored energy or stored emotion that needs to come out, and hey, this is actually a really good way of getting that stored emotion or stored energy out. So it's like I know for myself, I'm a lot more open to it, and I'm a lot more like, yeah, I need this. I need some anal play tonight because like on myself because I know that like there's some emotions that need to come out or there's some energy that's stuck and I can feel that within myself that that's what needs to happen. And so then I'll be like, right, this is what I need. And then from my perspective, I look at it and I'm like, well, if I know that that's what I need, then that's like, yeah, there'll be on some level where this is going to be really good for Colleen as well, being able to work through all of her things. And it's like, it's really noticeable because it's like, if she's got like a tight bum, she's normally got like a tight throat. She's got an open throat, she's normally got an open bum. Like it's just the way that it works. And so it's like all about, from my perspective, I'm like, how do I keep you open? What are the practices? What are the things that we can work on together? How can I penetrate you? You know, that with that masculine energy, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to provide a space where you are open and you are open all the time. Like as a man, there's almost nothing more beautiful than seeing your woman open, right? And being open to you and like open to the world. Like, but knowing that like you are her safe space, her open, her strong rock, I guess. So yeah, that's probably that from my perspective. Um, your perspective, Liz?
My perspective. It is one of the work in progress places for me. So I definitely um, before Nami, I'd had like Jess had worked on squirting orgasms, and we were squirting, and now we've had all the things. So
All the things.
all the things. So like squirting orgasms, cervical orgasms, anal orgasms, nipplegasms, throat orgasms, and the more I'm open and honest and dig deep, then the more I can be honest with myself and with the rest of the world. So specifically with the anal play, that is one of the hardest places for me still to work on. And it is fantastic to see the opening. Like Jessie mentioned, like when that there's this connection between my throat and my vagina and my anus, right? Like that there's the more open everything is, the more open everything is, the more ease there is. And there's this ability to clear there's conversations that I'm able to have. There's forgiveness that I'm able to do when I'm getting rid of all the junk and that's stuck in my bum. And it allows me to be more open to get rid of all that, like to go into the darkness and come out and go, okay, thank you. I can see the gifts from the darkness and move towards the light and fill the darkness with light. Right.
So would you say that, and through that stimulation, just being stimulated anally, being penetrated there, do you notice ideas, experiences, memories come to the surface, or is it more of an unconscious sort of integration where you feel a change afterward in your energy and your behavior?
At the moment, it's been more unconscious, like not like subconscious, I guess, not unconscious, but subconscious integration.
Yeah.
There's some of the other healing tools. There's been a lot more ability to go into the anus symbolically with visualizations, with like there's one of your crystal elixirs, and the visualization was like, oh, interesting. Okay, this is where my mind is going today, that we are going into the bum. Gross. Fantastic. Okay. So it's interesting just to see what comes up specifically in the visualization, because I was so used to being in my head, and it's been a huge practice to get back into my body, and just to see. But I haven't noticed like visions of God in my bum yet.
No, I would say that it's intense enough as it is that to then try to bring in like a visualization or like to allow that type of to have those visions or memories come up would actually is just too intense at the moment, if that makes sense. Like energetically, like it's just not there. Just so it's yes, like it's just too much like to be worked through at a subconscious level, which is what we're working through these practices at the moment. That like we're not at that
Right.
point.
Okay.
Maybe 6 months time.
How about the deeper vaginal orgasms? What have you noticed about them and their power for transformation?
I love cervical orgasms. They are fantastic. Like
The God orgasm.
yeah, like there's just this beautiful, like there's these beautiful visions. Like I had a vision of like us creating universes, like while I was having this cervical orgasm, and then other ones about um like this like just these beautiful, like creative, powerful things. And I haven't noticed specifically like, okay, we have this orgasm and then the next day something happens. But these constant daily multiple orgasms, just everything gets rid of all the things that I've been working on myself for 20 years, right? From an intellectual standpoint, from a physical standpoint, but this gets so deep so quickly, and there's been so much healing and a lot of the relationships that I've found so difficult. There's been a lot of relationships where it was almost like I can't be around you because I find you so difficult to be around, and that's all the projection, all the woundedness. And now it's at the point where it's like, cool, this is who I am. I am who I am. You can take it or leave it. That, like, I love myself. I love my husband. I love our life. And I have so much love for everybody else. And also so much, like to give you an example, there's a pattern that I saw a lot growing up of salespeople are there to they're to try to trick you, to try to convince you to buy things. Like, so there's this enmity that you're dealing with everybody with the sense of you're trying to swindle me. And now like I noticed so much space. Like I went on a plane, and every single person like went out of their way to be kind and nice and complimentary and loving. Like every person I dealt with. And you just have this energy where like you have so much high frequency energy, and then you just receive that back from strangers,
Yeah.
from friends, from family members, from your kids, from your husband, from everybody, which makes life all really, really pleasant.
And would you, I mean, and you see that correlation between having these orgasms, like say that morning you have a cervical orgasm when you go out in the day, and notice that it's like that energy is paving the way, or it precedes you. It's been infused into the world, into your path. And it's then creating this very blissful, harmonious, more heart connected even experience out in the world.
Definitely. And I think like Jessie said, like this is our life now. So I think more what I notice it is I notice it when like let's say we've not been intimate, or we've been intimate but haven't connected as well, where I go, huh, why are the kids misbehaving? Why am I grumpy? Why are these bad things? Oh, okay, time to come back to ourselves, time to come back to each other, time to get connected,
The reset.
time to reset.
I love that.
And then you reset every time. It takes just a little bit less time for you to realize, it's time to reset again.
And how about for you, Jessie?
Um, what, the cervical orgasms or just in
Well,
general?
more like your own depth of orgasmic experience. Has that gone deeper, become more profound? And then, in the same way, what do you notice in the outside world as a result?
I think one of the big things I've noticed is making, I mean, this is something that you talk about quite a lot, is making that unconscious conscious in the sense of like being more aware of the energies involved and when we're making love, when we're having sex, like, and feeling like being aware of that means that you become more aware of those energies. So like aware of it on a intellectual level. Oh yes, like these energies when you have sex. Just means that when you actually have sex, you start noticing those energies. So like you can feel like have sex and I'll like feel nourished and I'll feel energized and ready to do whatever needs to be done for the day if it's been in the morning or like
Go
to
conquer the world.
go conquer the world basically. Like it's remarkable, and like I'll notice um like I'll do semen retention, but I'm not like really diligent on it. But I will notice that there is a difference if we've connected and had sex and I haven't ejaculated as to when I have. And you do notice an energetic drop off. And even I'm not crashing, even if I do ejaculate, like because I'm consciously harvesting energy when we're making love. But I do notice that there is an energetic drop off on that. Not so much that I'm like, "Bleh, now I'm going to go to sleep because I've crashed, but just enough that I can consciously go, yep, that's just a reminder that like, yep, this is an energetic release here. So be conscious with it. Um, so like that's probably like for me it's definitely noticing how like the sex and the energy harvesting that can happen when you're connecting together energizes you. Then you can go out um into the day, into the world, conquer the world, do what you need to do and just be calm. Like for me, I'm calm, I'm centered, I'm like almost inflammable in a way. Like I have people that I interact with and like they'll make comments like, oh, like I don't think I've ever seen you angry, or I don't think I've seen you blow up, or like you're great to work with, you're great to work around. Like because nothing's a problem. Everything can just get dealt with like, and it's just because it's like I'm not, even though there's a storm of life going around me, I have a centering point, and it's like, like okay, yeah, it's your penis is your centering point, it's your direction, it's your strength, your erection is your strength, all these things that we talk about in the salons. It's like, yeah, it's actually true. Like, if you're firm, if you're having like good energetic orgasms, if you're connecting with your spouse, with your partner, like, or even with yourself, like if you then harvest the energy and you bring that into yourself, it's like, yeah, life almost doesn't matter. Like whatever's going on around you, the environment you're in, it's like, no, like you can be the steadying point in that. You're not looking for something else to be the steadying point. Yeah, that's probably been my experience with it.
I feel like you've also gotten physically more pleasure on your cock as well,
Oh yeah,
right? Like
that's fair.
where because you don't just teach a lot of the theory, you also teach a lot of these techniques, that there's this ability to give and receive more pleasure, and that your cock's actually become more sensitive.
Right.
And that like my relationship to it has changed as well, where I find it so much more beautiful and attractive and magnetizing and gorgeous than when I thought I was just doing sex for you.
You're like, let me touch it. I need that energy.
I touch it. I just center myself.
I love that. Can I center myself? I need to touch your cock. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Like we laugh about it, but like the reality is it actually does help. Like if just like if I come home from work and it's been a rough day, it's like just connecting for like, even if it's just 5 minutes, and it's like that's enough to like
5 minutes of what? So what
day.
would you do? You come home and you need 5 minutes of kissing, making out, a blowjob. Like, what would that look like?
Oh, any of the above, I guess. Kissing, a blowjob, like it might just be like not necessarily for myself, but like for Colleen, it might have been like a rough day, like just with whatever's happened, and we're like, oh, she'll just be like, right, I need to suck your cock for 5 minutes. And then like go make dinner. Sometimes it turns into like 45 minutes, and then it's like, oh, we really need to like
go make dinner.
Dinner's probably done. So but like it's just, I don't know. Like I feel like you've made quite a few comments on that in terms of like needing, like there's like a visceral need for it.
Yeah, and I'm connected more to my desire, right? Like even with all of this quote unquote work that I've done, like up until this year of Anami, it's sort of been like, oh yeah, my pussy is wet, but I'm not actually there. So like my body is desirous, but my brain isn't connected to my body. And there's this connection that's happened in this last year of, no, now I actually do want your cock, like with my brain and with my body, that there's this connection happening, this integration happening, that had never happened before.
Fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like to share that you feel we haven't covered?
I feel like for me, like the biggest thing is a safe space to actually be where you are, to do the work that you create with all of your practices, that it's I love the way you pace your courses. You give us so many tools, and then we get almost overwhelmed, and then there's like, nope, we've got an integration week, we've got a challenge week. Like it has been fantastic, but it's been this space to go, okay, like how deep do you want to go? Like the deeper you go, the deeper you will go. So the more that you're honest with yourself, and the more you're honest with your partner, the further you can go.
Mm-hmm.
But if you try to smooth over the issues that you think you see with band-aids or pills or plasters or whatever, then you failed before you started. And I feel like that's really this beautiful thing that you've given us, is this, all these tools, all this time, all of this community. Because there's also lots of other people who you can share your struggles and your trials, and look for ideas, and look for a cheering section, and celebrate your victories.
Love it. Thank you guys so much for sharing and giving us this intimate insight into your love and relationship. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
I would say that you get out what you put in. So like the more that you're willing to put in, the more you're willing to, be raw and vulnerable with yourself and with your partner, the more you will get out of it. So you like the only person that's holding you back is yourself.
Anything?
That's my one tidbit of wisdom.
Anything from you, Colleen?
I would agree and do the work, but I would say that the things that you can do within the context of the community, and the context when you're doing the courses, when you're doing the salons, there's this beautiful ability to go higher than you can by yourself if you're ready to do the work. So if you're wanting a quick fix, this is not where you want to go. But if you want to be radically transformed, then highly, highly, highly recommend your courses. But only if you are willing to show up.
Love it. It's like going the route of, okay, somebody wants to lose weight. Well, you can learn how to look at your diet and go to the gym and exercise, or you can go to your doctor and beg them for Ozempic, right? Like, one of them is a quick fix with potentially disastrous long-term results. The other one is changing and overhauling your whole way of life, but it's a permanent solution. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you guys so much. There's a lot of real beautiful gems in here, so I so appreciate you sharing.
Thank
No
you.
worries.
We
Thank
really
you for having
appreciate
us.
you.
If you'd like to learn how to do all of these things, I have 2 suggestions for you. Number 1, sign up for my free 7-day sex cleanse for couples. You can find that at kimanami.com/lovers. And number 2, enroll in my Coming Together for Couples salon. This is my 10-week online program which covers everything from communication skills, how to remove the blocks in your relationship, to how to have multiple orgasms, energy sex, tantric lovemaking techniques, stamina building for him, and how to use your sexual energy for creativity, healing, and to turbo fuel your entire lives. The Coming Together salon opens for registration in a couple of weeks. To be notified of when the doors open, go to kimanami.com, look for Sexual Savant Salons, and click on Coming Together, and you can sign up to be emailed when we begin. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and send somebody else the gift of a multi-orgasmic and transformational love life by sharing this episode with them. If you'd like to go deeper into all things orgasms, sign up for my free Orgasmopedia series, where you'll learn about 9 different types of orgasms everyone can have. Go to kimanami.com and you'll see the sign up there. Come one, come all.